Hello everyone, welcome to our second session. I hope that all of you are in the best of health. In this session, we will be looking at basic principles of oral communication. Perhaps someone wants to tell me one of the principles of oral communication. Before that, let us look at the learning outcomes for this video. By the end of this video, you should be able to, number one, classify the basic principles of oral communication. Number two, explain why oral communication is important. Number three, describe the responsibilities of speakers and listeners in the communication process. And number four, identify interference in communication. First, let's look at the basic principles of oral communication. The two basic principles of oral communication is good listening skills and good speaking skills. Good listening skills. To be a good listener, you must, firstly, pay attention to what people say. We must not just hear the sounds, but listen attentively. Secondly, understand the message conveyed through the verbal language and non-verbal language. Thirdly, remember what you have listened so that you can use it later if needed. Fourth, evaluate what you have listened so that you can make judgments. Fifth, respond to the speaker by giving feedback after listening. Feedback can be given after listening to the speaker or as the speaker is talking. When we give feedback, the listener knows that we are trying to understand what he or she is trying to say. Now, what about active and passive listening? Can anyone tell me the difference? Passive listening happens when you are in a relaxed, non-formal situation. For example, during a holiday, you do not concentrate much. You remember very little of what you hear. You respond by nodding or smiling. On the contrary, active listening takes place when you need to concentrate on what you listen to. For example, in the classroom, lecture, or when you want to obtain specific information at the airport. Good speaking skills. To be a good speaker, you must, firstly, be able to interpret meaning according to context. For example, when we say, let's go out to a girl, it means that we are asking the girl out on a date. It does not mean we are asking her to go out of the house or room we are in. Second, know the regulative rules of speaking. This means you must know when to enter and interrupt during a conversation, with whom you can interrupt and with whom you cannot. Thirdly, know the constitutive rules, that is, knowing what is right and what is wrong in a certain culture. For example, the head bowing is mark of respect in the Asian culture. In the Western culture, kissing is a mark of affection. Yawning and shouting while communicating is a sign of rudeness in most cultures. Fourth, use the proper volume. Speak with the appropriate volume depending on the situation. Fifth, use the proper pitch. Speaking with a pitch that is too high may shrill your voice. Sixth, use proper intonation. When asking questions, we use a rising intonation. When making a statement, we use level intonation. There are other skills that you must have as a good speaker. A good speaker speaks with a varied tone, speaks with a proper tempo, use good enunciation and pronunciation. Next, we shall move on to the importance of oral communication. Oral communication is important if we want to build friendships. Good listeners and speakers often have many friends and appreciated by people around. Good oral communication skills also help in knowledge acquisition. People who ask good questions, give proper feedback, and express opinions well tend to acquire knowledge better. By having good oral communication skills, you are able to be more competent at your workplace. You are able to deliver speeches, give instructions, conduct meetings, make presentations, and conduct interviews. What other benefits can you get by having good oral communication skills? To move on, we shall now look at the responsibilities of speakers and listeners in the communication process. In a communication, the speakers and listeners have several responsibilities. They are, firstly, evaluating. The speaker or the listener has to evaluate the situation by being clear about his or her views and the views of others. Listen attentively to avoid miscommunication. Give and receive feedback positively and maintain goodwill. Secondly, understanding. As a good communicator, you must understand the needs of your audience. Thirdly, using interpersonal skills. Good interpersonal skills is crucial in oral communication. Create interest in the topic you want to speak on. Have a positive attitude by developing good relationship between members of the organization, friends and family. Be cheerful, optimistic and enthusiastic. Be a good listener. Maintain confidentiality and be polite. We have now come to the end of our video. Before we end, I will explain to you about interference in communication. What do we mean by interference in communication? Can someone explain this? Well, interference in communication means factors that disturb communication. Among others, the factors are, firstly, physical interference. Secondly, physiological interference. Thirdly, psychological interference. And the last, semantic interference. Physical interference. Examples of physical interference are loud noise, such as the sound of a train, loud music, and etc. All these are beyond our control. Physiological interference. This refers to the speaker and the listener. The speaker or listener may be hearing impaired, have articulation problems, or have memory loss. Psychological interference. A listener or speaker who is emotionally disturbed or preoccupied may not be a good communicator. Anger and emotions will distort the message. Semantic interference. Semantic deals with meaning. When we are not familiar with a certain culture, language, and dialect, meaning may not be clear. Misunderstanding may take place due to semantic interference. I hope you have grasped the basic principles of oral communication that I have presented to you in this session. Please read up on our next session, which is active listening skills. Once again, I wish you all good luck. Have a nice day. Thank you.